Hi everybody, it's Kathy here again with Memories Made Magical, and I've come back today as promised with a little tutorial for you on one of the little albums that I've made recently. And the one I decided to show you was the 6x8 album, which is an expandable album, which I covered this one using Centauro Gorgeous Girl papers, and I did actually put a video up on my channel which gives you a walkthrough and shows you just what sort of a versatile album this can be, this size, and how many pockets and pages and photo mats you can get in there. So it shows you just how many photos you could actually showcase in an album like this. So today I'm not going to be covering it, the one I'm going to make with Centauro papers. Instead of that, I'm going to go back to a designer that I absolutely love, which is Graphic 45. And I've just recently purchased this 8x8 paper pack, which is the Love Note collection, which has a lot of lovely background papers and also quite a few pages that you can use as cut aparts for journaling and putting into envelopes and what have you. So that's quite nice. And I think also this paper isn't just for Valentine's Day or for somebody that you love's birthday. It could be anybody that loves music and flowers, really. So it's quite versatile. So the first thing we need to do is get some chipboard. So what I've done is I've got 2 sheets of black chipboard, because I thought I'd try and make it as easy as possible. So I wasn't going to actually show you how to cover chipboard, because you can get these sheets of black chipboard medium weight quite readily now, and I bought mine in A3 size sheets, and I cut these 2 pieces down off of one A3 sheet down to 6 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. So that means with this expandable album, one thing you have to remember is it can be made in any size whatsoever. As you can see, the one I made before is slightly longer, but it's narrower. So this one's a bit wider but a bit shorter. So you can make these albums in whatever size you like, as long as you just stick to one major rule, and that is to make sure that your album covers are 1/2 inch bigger by length and width than your internal pages. That's all you've got to remember. Okay, so as I say, I've got 2 pieces of chipboard that are already cut down to 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. And this was only a medium weight chipboard, so I was it was quite easy for me to actually cut it down with my guillotine, which is what I did. But you can also buy chipboard now in different size sheets if you want to. Then we're going to go on to our pages. So as I said to you, we've got to make sure, as my chipboard album covers is going to be 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, I've got to make my pages 1/2 inch length and width smaller than my covers, which means that my covers have got to be 5 3/4 inches wide by 7 3/4 inches long. And then to attach the pages together, we need a 1/2 inch overhang, or 1/2 inch spine, to stick the pages together. So what I did was take a piece of card that measured 6 1/4 inches wide by 7 3/4 inches long, and then I scored on the short side at 1/2 inch. I will also be putting the dimensions for this album in the description box as well, so that you can follow that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you, I took my scoreboard here. One I've got is the Crafter's Companion Big Score, which is a lovely, easy scoreboard to use. It has centimetres on one side, and then it has inches for older ladies like me on the back. Okay, so what I did was I took my piece of card, which I said was 6 1/4 inches wide by 7 3/4 inches long, and I literally just got my scoring tool and just scored down on the 1/2 inch measurement there. If you don't have a score tool, you can always use a ruler and just go across your card at the top there, and then just make a little mark with a pencil or a pen at the 1/2 inch mark, and then literally just draw down the edge on the 1/2 inch. So with or without a score tool, that's quite an easy thing to do. So then what we want to do is put our pages together. So I've started putting some of the pages together, so I didn't want to bore you with doing that all the way along. So I've put those two together. And what I like to do, because it's a 1/2 inch spine, what I like to do is use some 1/4 inch tape. Because obviously to make it expandable we need to leave a 1/4 inch here, which has got no adhesive on, so that when the pages are together they can actually be pulled to give you a little bit of depth there, a bit of expandability, to make sure that you can fill up your album nice and full with lots of photos and lots of embellishments, pockets and tags and things. So I'm going to show you how I did that. I've got some 1/4 inch tape, as I said, and what you want to do is get the 1/4 inch tape so it's just basically on the edge, on the outside edge, not against where your spine's going to be, but on the outside edge of your tape, of your card, right at the edge there, so it gives you a nice 1/4 inch space up to your spine. So I'm going to take the tape off, and what I also like to do is give me a little bit of wriggle room. I like to use a glue as well as a tape. I'm going to bring that out, just have that out nice and flat. I'm going to put some paper under there so I don't make a mess. And I'm just going to put the glue I'm using is the Glossy Accents. Glossy Accents tape. I have to remember which way around I've got my camera because I keep turning things upside down. I do apologise, this is my first tutorial, so if I do make any huge mistakes please try and forgive me. Okay, so I've got Glossy Accents. You could use any glossy, any tacky glue you want to, but I like the Glossy Accents because it's got a nice clear gloss finish and it's got a very precise tip for application, which is nice. So I'm going to pop that over the top of my glue, and as I say, it also gives you a little bit of wriggle room. You don't need too much. Don't swamp it with glue, but just try and make sure that you've got it on the right up to the edges. And then what I like to do is put a piece of card behind where I'm going to glue and turn the flap over so that I'm not going to be actually gluing it to the other piece of card. And then what we're doing, I'm going to try and do this without hitting my head, is pop that down nice and flat, and then get the edges of your card and just meet them up, and then take your card up, hold it together, turn it upside down, get your scoring tool and just literally push it down with your scoring tool so that the two edges adhere to one another. Okay, just need a couple of seconds just while that glue grips, and then you can take your paper away. Hopefully you'll have a nice edge that's stuck well. If you do have a little bit of glue that just spills over a little bit, you can just wipe it off. I mean, it's not going to matter too much because these pages are going to be covered with design papers as well. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to glue spills and things. I like to try and wipe them all away. Okay, so, and then you just carry on that process until you've got all the pages together that you want. So I've just got another couple to do. You bear with me, I'll just take the tape off this one. And if you've run over like I have on the edge with the tape and you've gone too far, literally just turn it inwards. That's what I normally do, just turn it inwards. Okay, and then I'm going to pop some more glue on there. Straight on the edge again, if you can see that. Hopefully you can. There we go. Let me just get our next one page here. So we turn that up. That's the page that we're going to stick to. And then again, I just get a piece of white card. I'm just going to take that under the lip of what I'm going to be gluing. Pick it up carefully. Sorry, that's my squeaky chair. I'm going to have to stand up to do this bit. And again, just line it up as best you can with the edges. I tend to find I try and do both ends and then pick it up and just literally just go along with my fingers. And score it down with my score tool or a bone folder if you have one of those, and then just take that out, and then we can turn it the right way up and just literally just firm it down with our hands. Okay, and then you'll start to see pages coming together, and they open up nicely, nice and flat. Might need a little bit of manipulation to start off with because obviously the glue's still a bit wet as well, but you have got the tape that's going to hold it as well. So once the glue dries, it should stay put and not start coming apart, which is what you don't want. Then wipe off some of my glue residue. Okay, so then I've just got the final couple of pages to put on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the papers here. I had all the measurements for you. Just put those on sticky notes so I can just pull them straight off. And as I say, I will be putting the dimensions in the description box, so you won't have to keep rewinding the video to see the sizes of everything that you need. Okay, so that's my outside page, so I just want to put these two pages on there as well. So again, I'm just going to pull the tape off, slide my craft knife under the tape. Bend that down, pop a little bit of my glossy accents just along the tape edge. Oh, and I think they've started to dry, so I'm going to take the top off. Okay. Just cover the tape. I think this glue, the glossy accent glue, I think has got the most precise, finest tip I think I've seen in a lot of the glues that we can buy over here in the UK. So I really do like that. It's multi-purpose. You can also use it obviously for putting glossy accents, as it says, onto embellishments and stuff. So then I'm again just going to put my white paper behind. Stand up again, and I'm just going to hopefully not get my head in shot, and literally just hopefully line that up nice and neatly. There we go, and again score down like so. There we go. Okay, and I've just realised that I've still got one page left. So if you please just bear with me, I'm just going to pop this last page on. At least hopefully you'll know how to put the pages on by the time I've finished. And this is an album that's really good for beginners, because I made this when I'd only made a couple of albums. I think this was my third album actually. It was my very first one using this construction type, and I found it so useful and so quick to do that even if you're not a beginner, it's a good one to use for when you've got a last minute present or something that you want to send to someone. It doesn't take very long whatsoever. And the nice thing about this is because the construction doesn't take too long, you can get into the most interesting part, the bit that I really like doing, and that's the decorating. Putting all your pockets and tags and everything in. Okay, so last one to go. Move that. Make sure we've got that nicely lined up. There we go. Down along the edge. Turn it round. Score it down with our bone folder or our scoring tool again. Take that out, just make sure that we haven't got too much glue spilling, which doesn't look like we have, got a tiny little bit there, so we'll get rid of that. And we can also use our scoring tool. Just to burnish it down. Okay, so that is the basic construction for our pages. Okay, that's a little bit glued. That was where I put a bit too much glue down when I did the first couple of pages off camera. Again, it's going to be okay because it's going to be covered in design papers. Okay. So make sure they're all lying nice and flat, and then you've also, if you get hold of the album, get hold of the pages and just pull a little bit at the sides. Obviously I advise you to do this when the glue is a little bit drier than mine. You pull it, and then, I don't know if you can actually see, it's probably going to be better when I get the covers on. You can actually see that you've got a bit of expansion room here. So you're going to be able to get quite a lot of photos and embellishments inside the book. Okay, so now we're going to go back to putting our album covers on. So what we want to do first, I'm going to put the front one on, which doesn't really matter which one we have because they're both, you can also just check that you've got the right size. Because just by putting, before you glue it, pop it down onto the card. I know black on black doesn't show up very well, but just put it down onto the card and then you'll see, give you a rough idea of where you need to position it. Now if you want to, you could actually just draw around it with a pencil, and that'd give you a good idea as to how to get it on straight, and then you've only got to, you could use like a red pen or something like that, just something that you can see, and obviously this will be covering it up so nobody's going to see it, but you will be able to mark and find out where you've literally got to put it down. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is always put some tape, so I can get some wider tape to do this. So I'm going to get my 1/2 inch tape now, and we want to put that down on the actual pages, not on the covers. So again, what I tend to do is just go over all around the edges. Take the backs off with my craft knife, just slide that under the backing tape. Close to the edge as you can. Again, just lift off the backing tape. So I always try and get the easy finger lift tape, but it's I always tend to charge you a little bit extra just for the sheer ease of that, and obviously if you just use a craft knife you can save a few pennies. Or a few cents, I presume it would be in America. Okay, and I always do one diagonally across as well. And then again what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a long tape line with my Glossy Accents glue. And then I'm just going to go across there as well, so that I know this is going to stick well. Okay. Don't forget that edge. There we are. And then we just move that out of place for a minute and just pop down our, decide which way round we want our chipboard cover. And then we literally just get set the right way, and then what we've got to do is just try and judge roughly the middle. So I tend to eyeball it. It's not always an exact science, but as I say, if you're a little bit cautious of making sure you get it in the middle, then just do your outline with pencil. That's what I used to tend to do when I first started crafting. That was after I'd made all the huge mistakes that I suppose we make when we begin paper crafting, or we actually crafters, we don't like to say they're mistakes, they're happy accidents. So that's your front, that's your front cover. So that's nice and well and truly stuck to the pages. I'm going to take that bit of glue off again. There we go. And then for the back, what we want to do is we want to take this tape off. Like so. And then I'm going to put a bit of glue on there, just on the edge of the tape. and we're going to line it up, so that's going to be our back, so it's got to be that way up. Okay, and then I'm going to take my other piece of 6 by 6¼ by 8¼ chipboard, and then I'm going to line it up with my chipboard this time. Hopefully that will be about right, and then pick it up, and we can also see if it's by putting it down on its edge. Hopefully those edges will touch the work table, which they've done, and then we can just squash it together like so. And then if we open the back cover, oops, it's going to come off. That's not what we wanted to do. That's not too good. So let's do this again. Line it up just like so. Make sure that the covers are, there we go. Squash it down. When we open, just make sure that's sticking, which it is now. And then another way of doing it is just literally just get in with your fingers and just squash it into place there. Or also taking your bone folder, if you can get it in there, that is. Probably not. No, really just take your finger and just, there we go. There we go. So once it dries out a little bit more, that's going to sit nicely. And it'll end up looking like that one, except that one's obviously a lot narrower. Didn't put so many pages in there. There we go, and then once it starts, you can start manipulating it so that it'll, pushing it all down, and once it starts to adhere properly, the pages will lay nice and flat. It does take a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. There we go, that's better. So now what I was going to do was cover the front and the back covers and the pages. I'm actually going to do this video in 2 halves. I'm going to do, as I say, the front and back covers today and put the base pages on base covers on the inside, and then I'll come back probably about Thursday and do another tutorial, another video for the second half of how we do all the pockets and the tags and the photo mats. Okay, so we're going to start putting the front and back cover on. So I've decided that the front cover I want is this one. So I'm just going to turn that over and just stick that on. These are nice quality papers, nice and thick. So again, I just normally put a piece of tape straight across the diagonal. And then also just a little bit of glue just in there, the bits that haven't got tape on. Just make sure it's stuck down nice and firm and flat. Oh, don't want it stuck to my fingers, I want it stuck to the album. Okay. So I'm going to decide which is going to be my front, which is going to be my back. So obviously that's going to be my back, because that was the last page that we stuck on. So this is going to be my front. And once you start getting the pages, pages and the pockets in here, it completely changes shape. It's like when I very first made this one, it didn't lay nice and flat like it's laying now, because it's got a bit of bulk to it. It lays nice and flat and it opens well. As you can see, it looks a bit lopsided. It looks quite triangular on the edge. You've got a thick end going down to a thin end. But as I say, once you get your pages and start to get your papers and little embellishments in, it will all start to lay nice and flat. Okay, so that's my front. So what I'm going to do, cover myself with glue and just pop this onto the front of the cover. So I've left 1/4 of an inch all the way around, from the size of my paper to the size of my album. If I can get this on near enough. It's probably not dead straight. There we go. Because what I'm going to do, I probably should have gone up a little bit further up there. But it's a bit difficult when you're on camera, especially when the camera is hanging above my head and I don't want to go bumping my head on it. I probably should have gone up a little bit further, and then I would have had a nice 1/4 of an inch border all the way around. So then what I'm going to do with this one is I've got some foil peel-offs, which I've got thousands of them, and I started using peel-offs when I very first started making cards, which was back in 2007, 2008. And I used to think that they used to make everything look pretty, but also by putting borders and corners around, it also makes whatever you've got on the front of the card stand out a lot more. So they do what they say, they peel straight off, and they're quite fine. You can get them in all types of designs. And what I'm going to do is literally, don't know if you can see that, I'm literally just going to pop that down on the very edge. Be careful with this design because it tends to twist. So you literally just, it's adhesive on the back, and you literally just stick it straight down to the edge, and that's not bad. It's nearly a whole sheet. I haven't had to cut that. I might just snip the end off. Okay, and I'm going to do the same for the other end, the other side rather. You can buy these, the peel-offs are readily available in most craft shops in the UK. I'm not sure if they use them that much in America, but places like eBay and places like that, you can probably get them. I got mine possibly from eBay a long time ago. You can actually get them in Hobbycraft in England. I don't know if you ladies in America can get them in Hobby Lobby or Michael's, which I've heard you talk a lot about. And they just give it a little bit more interest and just make everything else that you've got on the front just stand out quite well. And then when we get to the end there, I just get a pair of scissors. Oh, probably should have got a pair of scissors that weren't covered in foam tape. I'll just cut that off. And then the same for the other side. There we go. You must clean my scissors. And then we also come in, have corners as well. So you can have all different types of corners. I've got about 3 different designs here. And just off camera, I just put 4 different corners just around the, well, 4 of the same corners, but just around the edges. So it gives it a little bit of detail. So now I'm going to carry on putting the pages in. So I think we'll do the back cover this time. And the back cover, I'm just going to coordinate with the front. I thought for the back, a nice stripe design. So try not to let the covers look too fussy. I quite like flowers, but I like coordinating them with either solids or stripes, polka dots, so that it breaks up the floral a little bit. Just had a quick look through the filming that I've just done, realised that my head has been in shot a couple of times, so I apologise for that. As you probably know at the moment, I'm a little bit of a novice when it comes to the videoing side of crafting and actually talking through tutorials as well, because I'm alright talking to myself, but when I'm talking to other people I think I tend to babble a little bit, so again, apologies for that, and hopefully I'll get a little bit better at the filming and giving clear instructions without babbling. Okay, so this is going to be our back cover. So that's our front, so flip it over. And hopefully this time I won't get in the shot. Just going to eyeball it again, just to hopefully get it straight halfway. There we go. Done it again, I think. Or maybe I've cut it a little bit short, I don't know. Or a little bit long, should I say. But as long as you get your top 3 edges looking straight, nobody, hopefully, is looking at your bottom edge too closely. As long as I can see a little bit of your black border showing on your album base, hopefully they're not going to notice and be too critical. So then for the inside front cover, I thought I'd also coordinate again, but actually I'm not sure. I might go, because I was going to put that in the back, but if we've got red on the back as well, I might put that on the front cover, which I think I have made a little bit too big there. So what I'm going to do is I'll put the front inside and back inside covers on off camera, so you haven't got to go through all that, but I will put a couple of the pages on so that you can just get an idea of what it's starting to look like. She says. I'm just having all these. So what I've done is I've cut them down off of the 8x8 pages, and obviously each page is double-sided. So if I just show you, you've got this page here, which was one of the lovely 8x8 papers, and then on its back side is that. So what I thought I'd do for the pages, I thought I'd do a front and a back for each of the pages that are facing one another. So apart from the front inside page. So if I hadn't, I have got an odd one actually somewhere here. That's the one. So what I'm going to do is use that one just inside the page, and that's got some lovely sentiments on it, like "If music be the food of love, play on." Famous quote from Shakespeare. Twelfth Night. Music gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, and flight to the imagination. How true is that? And ever thine, ever mine, ever ours, ever thine. That's another quote from some famous poem or song, I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows, please let me know. And let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. That's a song. I'm not sure if that was by George Gershwin. That's quite an old song. Not very good on music history, but possibly 1930s or maybe 1940s. But again, if I've got that wrong, I do apologise. And if someone would like maybe to send the information to me and correct me, I would be interested to actually know. I've heard the song, but I just can't remember when it came out. Anyway, very pretty paper. You could use this for a lot of cut aparts, or as I'm going to do, I'm literally just going to turn it over and pop it on the page. So I'm going to put some tape down here. As I say, these are lovely thick papers, especially if you want to put glue on them, because the glue doesn't seep through, which is really nice. Some papers are quite thin, and you want to, you know, it's a good idea to use tape and glue so that you know that your project's going to stay well and truly glued together. But when you do it on some of the thin papers, it's quite disheartening when you turn it over and you get bubbles and stains of glue coming through the paper, which obviously can spoil your project, which is what we don't want. So I'm going to open this. I'm just going to open it a little bit. There we go. Because again, it does, once it's been used a bit, it does stay open a lot better. So then I'm going to have to stand up for this one, but I am going to try not to get into the shot if I can help it, everybody. But I do have to just see what I'm doing. Because the eyesight's not quite what it used to be. Especially in this half light. It's quite grey and overcast outside. Looks as though it's going to rain any moment. Okay, so then if I just show you 2 more pages, I can just get this to lay down properly. Lay down, that's it. And then just open those pages up, just stretch them a little bit. So I'm going to do 2 coordinating papers, so I'm going to do one there and one there. Like I say, that's the front and the back. So I'm using the front and the back of each sheet. So this one is going to have the cello or the violin on the front. So I'm going to be sticking it on the back. There we go, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue. Oops, sticking it to me now. Okay, so pop that to one side, just take my album in front of me. Make sure I've got it up the right way. And then line it up. There we go, I think that's about right. A little bit of tape overhanging, so I'm just going to pull that off. Hopefully, maybe not. Do that in a minute. There we go. And I'll put one more page in. So we've got the back. And the front. Push that down. It'll be a lot better once the glue's dry. And then push that down. And then I'll do one more page. So I'm going to have it out this way. And then, as I said, I'm going to be doing this video in 2 halves, so it doesn't become too overwhelming for you to watch all together or me to film. So I will bring back another video, possibly Thursday or Friday, and that will be a video on doing all the inner pockets, tags, flaps, and various journaling spots. And I've also bought some new magnets, so I'm going to be giving those a go, and I'll be testing them out obviously in front of you all, so I do hope that they're going to be okay. Tend to work for other ladies I've seen doing their tutorials, but the magnets I got last time, they weren't very strong, so I ended up putting them on top of the pages, which was not ideal, wasn't what I planned on doing, but they ended up looking quite novel because they were black. But the general idea obviously with magnets is to hide them. So that's what I'm going to try and do, show you how to do towards the end of the week. So, last page I'm doing today, just going to go in. And that's about right. There we go. I think it's overhung a tiny beanie bit, but that doesn't matter because you can just get some scissors and just snip that off there. Okay, so you get the general idea, the covers of the pages. Okay, so that's the front. Quite easy to put the pages in. Okay, so you got the front page there, a couple of pages there, and the back cover. So then I'll be putting the rest of the base pages in off camera, and I shall come back, as I say, either Thursday or Friday to start showing you how to put in all the little photo mats, tags, pockets and various other interesting things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it's been quite full of a few mistakes, but hopefully you might bear with me and come back again and watch the second half of my video. Anyway, till then, take care, happy crafting.